Hey, buddy, can I can I have this? You mind if I sit right here? Do you, mind sharing? Marty, buddy, you crazy. You crazy, dog. Mainly because it's Tier List Tuesday. What's going on with y'all, big dog? And it is an amazing day for Yu-Gi-Oh! I hope your day is going phenomenal. And if it isn't, well, don't let what happened at the beginning of your day ruin the rest of your day. Speaking of such, of course, it is Tier List Tuesday. And today, we're going to be going over some of the most powerful staples inside of this format. Now, of course, I'm going to be talking about some of the most powerful decks today and how these cards can apply against them, but I'm also going to be including in the mix decks that are going to be speculated as some of the most powerful decks from Ghosts from the Past. The Agent strategy has gotten some insane new support that obviously puts them into contention. Not only can it play through multiple disruptions, it's also a strategy that can still special summon Arc Lord Christia, preventing players from special summoning. And then there is the Code Talker strategy. This strategy is not only an amazing combo deck built to extra link your opponent, it can also be played in a control type style, tons of hand traps, tons of back row to be able to obliterate whatever your opponent is trying to do. Let's go ahead and jump on into this tier list with those two decks in mind, as I have 5 different categories. The first is Better Be Caught With It. These are the staple cards that if you can play inside of your deck, you need to be playing. Next is the Sauce cards. These cards are not necessarily above the performers. We're just putting some spotlight on these particular cards, as oftentimes they're not played or they are that important. After that is the Performer cards. These cards are the baseline staple cards that you should consider when deck building. From there are the strat are the cards that require a lot of effort. These cards aren't necessarily bad Yu-Gi-Oh cards, but they do require a specific situation to fall in their favor or the correct deck to be able to pilot. Next is everybody's favorite. Oh no, what are you doing, baby? These are the cards that you should not be playing unless you want to give your opponent the free win. Starting off with Blizzard. Now keep in mind, staple Yu-Gi-Oh cards are cards that are being played inside of the main board, not the sideboard, the main board. With that being said, I think Blizzard is actually still a sauce Yu-Gi-Oh card inside of the main board because there are so many amazing spell cards inside of this Yu-Gi-Oh card game. Rite of Aramesir is a card that immediately comes to mind. Being able to stop their Rite of Aramesir combo, bounce the card back into their hand, and prevent them from summoning that monster that will stop you from stopping them, this card is clutch. There's also being able to stop Crossout Designator and Triple Tactics Talent, 2 other cards that are really good inside of this format. I gotta say, this card is perfecto when it comes to balancing out some of the most powerful spell cards. On the flip side, again, those staple Yu-Gi-Oh cards are defined as generic Yu-Gi-Oh cards that are played often inside of the main board, sometimes the extra deck. With that being said, we are in a spell-heavy format where anti-spell fragrance could thrive, but you gotta think, we're in a spell-heavy format. More often than not, your deck is playing a tons of spells. Now, I can see a couple of decks that could take full advantage of this card inside of the main board. One being Outlich. Obviously, a pure Outlich build doesn't really play too many spell cards, a ton of trap cards. And then Code Talker, another deck that's coming out, or another deck that gets support and Ghosts from the Past. This deck can take full advantage of this card as well because it doesn't play a lot of spell cards and can hit those decks that are ultra reliant on them. So I genuinely think that anti-spell fragrance does require the right setup, which is why this card does require a lot of effort. Book of Solar Eclipse. Oh man. I think this is the Book of Lunar Eclipse. I don't remember which one it's called, but this is the one that flips all of your opponent's monsters from face up to face down, and then on the end phase, the monsters get flipped face up and your opponent draws cards. This card, it's really good going second. I think because a lot of the meta will summon monsters like fusion monsters. There's Mirror Jade, which is pretty good. And if you want to dodge that effect, go ahead and flip it face down. But the problem with that is that face down monsters can still be used for a fusion summon with cards like Branded and Red. Link monsters cannot be flipped face down, so Code Talker is completely out of the question. Being able to flip Warlord Christia face down is great against agents, but it's like it's good against some matchups, and then it's really poor against some matchups. You want cards inside of your main board to be either really good against certain matchups and then okay against other matchups, which is why I think that this card does require a lot of effort. Also, keep in mind, giving your opponent cards in their hand, you better have a really good response, as you don't want to give your opponent too many cards in their hand when this card is used on your opponent's turn. Book of Moon, another card that does require a lot of effort. Keep in mind, while you can out some cards like Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer's effect to be able to destroy and Mirror Jade, they can still fuse with those particular cards. And again, this doesn't completely out Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer. I gotta say that this card does require a lot of effort because of it. Almost the exact same reason why this book card does too. Book of Eclipse, that's his name. What am I thinking? Next is Called by the Grave. Now, Called by the Grave is a card that you easily better be caught with, guys. Hand traps inside of this format are running everywhere. And besides Infinite Impermanence in the Nibiru, Called by the Grave got you covered. There's also so many graveyard monster effects that will activate inside of this format. Think Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer, think Despia monsters, think in the agent matchup Neptune and stuff like that. Just Called by the Grave. It's just really, really simple to stop those particular cards. Cosmic Cyclone in the main is a solid performer Yu-Gi-Oh card. The reason why is because this card doesn't require as much effort inside of your main board as some of the other back row disruption cards. There are times where a lot of times your opponent just has one face down card and you don't want to give up too much of a cost. 1,000 life points is completely free. Getting rid of your opponent's Branded in Red, getting rid of your opponent's Lost Sanctuary against agents, Code Talkers, sometimes you got to take a shot in the dark and get rid of their Signet Conflict. Stuff like that is just a very, very solid card and overall great against every matchup in Yu-Gi-Oh right now. Crossout Designator, if you are a combo player, this card is sauce. Because a lot of combo decks do play a ton of hand traps. Being able to stop your opponent from hand trapping you at that critical juncture is amazing. It's the reason why Blizzard is also a sauce card for the Staples tier list. Crossout Designator obviously deserves to be in there too. Moving on with Dark Ruler No More, I actually feel conflicted with this card. Dark Ruler No More does out Warlord Christia, you know what I mean? It does out Mirror Jade, but then they can just flip the Branded in Red and Fuse and still have another particular clapback. So I want to put it as a solid performer because where Dark Ruler No More does perform, if your opponent summons like Double Masquerade to their side of the field, you can Dark Ruler No More, pay 1,200 and never have to pay any more and proceed to out their board. It's really good when it really does shine. And then when it doesn't necessarily shine is against those one card boards. Sometimes in a Yu-Gi-Oh card game, your opponent won't make it. Dark the Dog Charmer. Easily, guys. The reason why this card is just so powerful in Yu-Gi-Oh is being able to special summon your opponent's Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer after they declared its effect. Meaning that if you can keep that Phoenix Enforcer, they have to special summon Dasher or Celestial. And that also means that that's another obstacle for them being able to gain that effect since it's on the field and not in the graveyard. More often than not, you want to special summon Celestial because that's just all types of problems for your opponent. Dark the Dark Charmer is just an amazing Yu-Gi-Oh card, and players are actually starting to banish their Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer when its effect was to special summon has been stopped to prevent you from special summoning it to your side of the field. Dimensional Barrier inside of the main board. Oh man, I feel that I don't think you should try to get away with that. I think it's like a tweener between performer and a lot of effort because we are in a fusion format. So flipping Dimensional Barrier against a fusion deck like Prank Kids or Despia, I mean, come on now. Being able to flip it against a Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer, oh man, yeah, like it feels good. The only bad matchup is Code Talkers because Code Talkers don't make Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer. But at the same time, this card is a trap card. So if the Phoenix Enforcer is already established, it's not great. So like, I feel like this is genuinely a tweener between performer and a lot of effort. I'm going to put it as a lot of effort as it is a better side deck card. But if you are playing a trap-based deck, then this card inside of the main board is actually okay. It stops synchro summons, stops fusion summons. You're going to see a lot of that inside of this format. Dogmatic Punishment is actually our very first. Oh no, what are you doing, baby? Seriously, inside of a format where you want to special summon from your extra deck, this is a death sentence if you can't special summon from your extra deck the following turn. And even the decks that don't need to special summon from their extra deck, decks like Outlich, the trap-based deck, which can use this particular card. A lot of times they just don't use it. Fluenderies doesn't even use it. I'm not saying that Dogmatic of Punishment is a terrible Yu-Gi-Oh card. I am saying that right now in this format, Dogmatic of Punishment isn't as useful as you would think it would be if you were comparing it to times of past. It definitely does have its place. I used it inside of my Earth Machine deck and I had some pretty decent results, but more often than not, I was using Dogmatica Ecclesia to search the floor delete. Evenly matched inside of the main board. That means you are playing a going second deck, which means that your options are already limited. Not every deck can main board evenly matched. This is a card that requires a lot of effort, but don't get me wrong, this card is so solid. Not a lot of negations running around outside of Wandering Griffin Rider. And if your opponent is caught with the token, they have to banish everything on their field except for the token. Why? Tokens can't be banished face down. So there you have it. This card is really good at being able to rid some of the best Despia boards too. I really do like evenly matched. It's a really solid card. But inside of the main board as a staple, maybe not. We'll probably do a side deck tier list, and this will obviously be a little bit higher. Forbidden Chalice, solid performer Yu-Gi-Oh card. It's great at interacting with certain effects like Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer, Arc Lord Christia, which you may be doing. Deco Heat Soul if you're tired of them drawing cards. It's just an overall really versatile card. You can use it on your turn. You can stop cards like Token Collector. You know how powerful that card can be. And you can keep on pushing. So this in the correct deck like Sword Soul and stuff like that is very solid. But overall, just it's a very, very good Yu-Gi-Oh card. And same thing with Forbidden Droplets. Forbidden Droplets has secretly climbed back into meta contention, and allow me to explain. Forbidden Droplets was cut because players were playing Artifact Scythe, and then they were playing cards around the Artifact Scythe lock to still summon Scythe despite Forbidden Chalice. This was literally making this card useless. But since I've dropped that these cards are bad, don't play them, Artifact Scythe, and you guys said that I was wrong, it's almost like Artifact Scythe kind of like fell off the face of the earth. Gee, I wonder why. No, but in all seriousness, this card is really good against so many combo decks right now. Being able to stop the Guardian Chimera when summoned, being able to stop so many great effects, and then your opponent can't respond to it. The only problem with this card is that you need to be able to discard or send cards from your field to the graveyard. Herald of Arclight has also kind of like disappeared inside of the format too, so Forbidden Droplet is a pretty safe alternative to play inside of your main board. Goes in match requires a lot of effort. The reason why is because this format is way too diverse. There are matchups where this card does really great, Fluenderies. And then there are matchups where this card does really bad, Despia. Reason why is because if your opponent is fusion summoning, all they need to have is the same target. Like for example, if they summon Lubellion, if they have a light target inside of their extra deck, they can use Lubellion's effect to fuse it off and then summon a dark monster to their side of the field. And that's where the threat of goes in match becomes moot, because while there is a light target, some players will probably just cheese their way and say, oh yeah, I got a light target. And then, you know, you can't check now. So it's like, you're kind of screwed right here. I would rather put myself in a position where my opponent's honesty isn't in question for me to win, as opposed to putting myself in a position where my opponent's honesty isn't a question to win. Harpy's Feather Duster is a solid performing Yu-Gi-Oh card inside of the main board. It's not a bad card whatsoever. Obviously, this is a card that can blow out a lot of back row. Similar to Cosmic Cyclone, you just activate it and then go for it. But where it does struggle against is like Prinkid's Pandemonium, where they kind of just flip it up and fusion summon anyways, but still not a bad card. Dragon's Prison just so happens to be another card where it's, oh no, what are you doing, baby? Like, seriously, no. Ice Dragon's Prison does fail, mainly because we're in a format where there are so many moving parts. Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer can destroy this card before it can pop off. Banishing Despia cards doesn't really mean anything to them. So, you know, there you have it. Banishing Combo Eldritch doesn't mean anything to them, because odds are they only play one Eldritch to Golden Lord, so you have to get another zombie in their graveyard, which could happen, but not likely. Banishing, you can't banish Fluenderies cards. His card's just not amazing right now. It's a great card, not good right now. Lightning Storm inside of the main board, easy, solid performer Yu-Gi-Oh card. Actually better than Harpy's Feather Duster because it provides you security no matter the format. And Mind Control, oh my god. Mind Control is sauce. So using this against Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer forces Phoenix Enforcer to use this effect if you have no other cards on the field. If you just start off with Mind Control, Yo, because you're gonna link it off to the Dark Charmer, right? You play this and you're actually like, they have no choice. Like, that's how you get rid of that. Using this against Wandering Griffin Rider forces the Rider to use this effect. Like, there's hands down, they have to use it. This card just forces so many activations. Using it against Mirror Jade, if that's the only card on their field and they have branded in red, it's like, yo, like, what do we do here? Do we fusion? Like, it's just a really problematic card for a lot of decks in this format. Mystic Mine is easily a go-to Yu-Gi-Oh card. After your opponent has exhausted resources to destroy your spells and trap cards, boom. This is why this card is so good, because a lot of those combo decks that don't play a lot of back row just Mystic Mine you, so you better be playing this. It's really, really good. And Raigeki is definitely reserved for a sideboard spot. Really good against Flu and Reese matchup. Against other matchups, it can struggle. It's not necessarily terrible, but it can 100% struggle against those other matchups. Rival of the Warlord is good. Same reason why Gozen Match is good. These both require a lot of effort. In the right deck, these can both thrive, but they need extra cards to be able to thrive together. One thing I do like about Rival of the Warlords is that if your opponent activates Rite of Air Macier, show me the other fairy monster now. Of course, if they're playing Despia, they can summon another fairy, but good luck fusion summoning and stuff, so this card's really, really cracked against them. As opposed to Gozen Match, where they can just kind of like cheat their way a lot of times. Salesban. I'm gonna die on this hill, guys. Salesban is so cracked. Let me give you a scenario. Your opponent summons Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer, you start your turn and you activate Salesban and you declare Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer. Now, your opponent can either A, activate Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer, destroy itself to destroy Salesban, and then they won't be able to get Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer's effect to special summon. They won't, because Salesban then resolves and they can't use Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer. Then there's option B. They leave the Phoenix Enforcer on the field, hoping that you don't destroy it, and then you destroy it, and they don't get either effect. This card is just a complete blowout. If you know your opponent has a particular card, you can activate it. And again, activating this against the deck that you don't play, like you don't play those cards that you're declaring, it's free for you. Skill Drain, if your deck can afford to play Skill Drain 100%, this is the best trap card in Yu-Gi-Oh right now. A lot of the outs to these trap cards, this card completely stops. So that's the reason why Skill Drain is really, really good. I think its only genuine problem was Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer before, you know, this card gets activated. Solemn Judgment is a top performer. Look at all the spell cards that are just really good in this format. You know, boom, high impact, high impact, high impact, high impact, high impact, high impact. Oh my gosh. Solemn Judgment does an amazing job at stopping all of them and is the best Judgment card out right now. Never thought I'd say that. On the flip side, Solemn Strike, it's like a tweener again. It does perform in a situation where you can stop Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer from special summoning from the graveyard. You can stop your opponent's Destiny Hero Celestial from drawing 2. You can stop hand traps. It's great in that regard. It's amazing. Where this card fails at is that it's a trap card and you have to set it and hope your opponent doesn't destroy it. But if your opponent doesn't destroy it, it's literally your go-to card to stop some of the most important cards in the game. That's why I'm gonna put it as a solid performer. I genuinely think that almost every trap deck, if you are incorporating traps, this is probably the first trap you should consider playing. Solemn Warning does require a lot of effort, but I do want to point out that it stops fusion summoning, it stops polymerization, it stops branded in red. It also stops Prank Kids Pandemonium. So it does stop some pretty good cards inside of this card game. So yeah, there's that. Super Polymerization is just a solid performer. Despia players have gotten even smarter. They'll just make Mirror Jade and pass their turn, and Super Polymerization doesn't do anything against that. Prank Kids will summon Prank Kids Battle Butler, and they'll be like, that's it. I'm not gonna do anything else. But there's still base running around Adventure Synchro that will still summon Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer and Baron de Flor. That's a free guilty gear for you. So, you know, that's amazing. Players still aren't destroying their Predaplant Vert Anaconda with their Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer. That's a free Dragostapelia for you. So, you know, life is good sometimes with Super Poly. You know, it's a really good card. I think the best performance that you can get from Super Polymerization is when you play it inside of a deck that can really incorporate it, like Despia, because their Despia monsters plus your monsters is a fusion summon. Invoked, their monsters plus your monsters is a free fusion summon. Shadal, all three of those decks plus a couple of other decks can really take advantage of it, and then the other decks can still take advantage of it if they have enough extra deck space. There can be only one. Obviously, the exact same situation. I love this card because it really hurts Fluent Reese, but again, Exact same situation with this card and the other two cards. Actually, this card does feel a little worse because this doesn't stop Despy at all, so they just keep playing. Torrential Tribute normally is in the same ranking as Solemn Strike, just because this is a free board wipe to prevent your opponent from playing Yu-Gi-Oh, but it's so dependent on going first, because if you're going second, a lot of times you're staring down ways that can stop Torrential Tribute, so it needs to be combined with other cards to be really good. I don't think that Torrential Tribute is a terrible Yu-Gi-Oh card, but again, you need to be playing a back row heavy deck that needs to have that extra card to be able to wipe your opponent's board. Triple Tactics Talent. This is damn near here. This card is damn near here. It's really good. It is so good inside of a format where not only are there hand traps that activate on your main phase, there are monster effects. And we already know that Mind Control is ridiculously good, so take their monsters. Completely force their monsters not be able to activate their effects. Fun fact, Mirror Jade, when you take it and you link off with it, they won't be able to activate its effect because it has to leave their possession in their control. So if you take the Mirror Jade, you don't have to worry about your cards being destroyed. And Twin Twisters is on the low side of solid performers just because you're not going to run into back row heavy decks a lot. But it is still a good card to pop two. If you don't care about discarding one, it can be a really good card. And that is all that I have for the Staples tier list. I really hope you enjoyed. Let me know, what do you think? Do you disagree or agree with some of these spots? Are there some cards that I may have missed? Is Ghost from the Past really going to change the format? Of course, if you want to see more amazing content, go ahead and check out these videos. And if you want to see a Master Duel tier list post the Forbidden list, go ahead and check out Master Duel Galley. I hope you are having an amazing day, and I'll catch you on the next video.